You're listening to Learn How to Podcast with Natascha Moy and Power of Podcasting. Today I want to talk about something really, really important. For those of you who can see me on YouTube, I have this really beautiful shiny crown, band on my hair. For those of you that can't, I can describe it. It's a black band with beautiful crusted diamantes and pearls on. It looks a little bit like a crown. I'm wearing it for a specific reason. I bought it for my sister and it's COVID, and so she lives in Singapore. I can't give it to her. I'm going to get a little bit of use out of it, but it's actually on here for a specific reason. Today I want to talk about something that is really, really important when you are creating a podcast, and that is authenticity. I know that we talk about authenticity all the time. We talk about cooking authentically. We talk about living authentically. We talk about authentic in every single possible way, and I don't even know if anyone knows what authenticity really actually means, but I know what it means to podcasting. So when you have imposter syndrome and you are trying to kind of mimic somebody else, what happens is that you lose who you are. It also shows that there is a lack of self-esteem on your part. You don't truly believe in what you have to say, in who you are as a person, in the knowledge base that you have. Lots of people start businesses from that position where they feel like they have a sense of lack. There is not enough. One of the most important things that you do when you create a podcast is that you come from a position of knowing. And the reason I have this crown on my head is because you are ideally going to be either the queen or the king of your own podcast. You are not going to go and listen to someone else's and pull strains from theirs. You are not going to go and work out that everyone else is brilliant and that you are not, and that they know so much and you don't, and they have a nice voice and you don't, and they've got so many downloads and you don't. Podcasting is not about lack. It is about more. It is about giving voice to your ideas. It is giving flight to universal themes. It's about sharing love and your knowledge and your expert status. It is truly about being really positive. So nobody can do a podcast as well as you can do your podcast. No one knows what you know. No one is as beautiful as you, as funny as you, as knowledgeable as you. No one is you. But more importantly, you are not anybody else. And I love that saying that says, be yourself, everybody else is taken. Because that is exactly true. Everyone else is taken, and they're all trying to do the best jobs with what they've got. So when you start your podcast, you do it from the heart. You do it from a position of love, a position of knowledge. When I create my podcasts, I always go in with a sense of wonder. Even when I'm doing this podcast, and I know so much about podcasting, I have taught so many people. I'm a podcast coach. I do workshops. I do one-to-ones. I'm the chairman of a radio station. I've got a journalism degree, and I still am humbled every single time that I interview somebody, or that I even sit here and with my little crown on and talk to the idea of what a podcast is. I learn something in my sharing. Having a voice, I think, gives you the opportunity to share pain and joy. And I think that both of those experiences either increase the joy or halve the pain. There is something to be said for putting words and ideas into universe. I truly believe that having a voice is one of the most powerful things that you can have in this world, and especially today when having a voice is so difficult. Podcasting gives you that opportunity. The fact that everyone is downloading podcasts at 1,000 miles an hour, and in 2020 the BBC said downloads in the trillions, and that was even without considering COVID. You have to know that you will be heard and that you will be listened to. When you are podcasting, it is an extremely intimate experience. Unlike a YouTube video or a movie or even a radio show, you usually are listening intimately to the podcast host. It's just you and them. And I tell the people who I teach that they need to talk to just one person. Think about talking to your best friend and sharing something you love and that you're desperately passionate about. How would that sound? How would that go? Don't talk about my listeners, my followers. Don't talk about people in a collective. You're really just talking to one person. Podcasting is known to be the most intimate form of communication. It is from your mouth directly into someone's ears. And if you think most people listen to their devices plugged directly, intimately into their ears, so you really are having a one-on-one experience. You are very rarely sharing a podcast with someone else. You usually choose it, and it's something that you do for yourself. When you're exercising, when you're doing the laundry, when you're lying in the bath, when you're in the car, it's that thing that you do for you. So when you as a podcast host are creating it, think about the intimacy, the journey that the person that you are entertaining or informing is going to be going on. How are they going to be listening to you? Don't worry about what that guy does or that woman does or this fantastic host does. They don't know what you know. You don't know what they know. You haven't had their life experiences and they haven't had yours. And you can never, ever, ever copy someone else. It is physically impossible to do as good a job. It needs to come from absolutely from your heart. So this is very, very important that I share this with you. And literally, I feel like it's the one thing that you need to remember every single time that you sit down in front of that microphone. There was an interview that I did once for my dialogue show, and it was with someone who was a life coach. And he came in, and I started to ask questions about his journey. And he had had some hiccups along the way. And I kept on asking questions and similar questions in the same vein, and I kept on getting answers. And at the end of the interview, I looked at him and I said, there's something wrong with this interview. I don't know what it is, but I feel very uncomfortable. I'm not happy with the way that it's gone. And I feel like there is something wrong. And he responded by saying that he felt that maybe I couldn't pigeonhole him in the interview the way that I had wanted to do, which is unusual because I don't really pigeonhole people or go in with a preconceived idea. Anyway, I remember feeling very upset and very confused about that entire interview, which I never aired in the end. And a few weeks later, I had a coffee with him and I sat down and he said, have you worked out what was wrong yet? He said, I think maybe, it was just that you couldn't sort of get me. And I thought, no. And I said, the reason I struggled was actually that you didn't tell me the truth. And no matter how many times I asked you the questions, you still didn't tell me the truth. And so therefore you were inauthentic. And therefore my interview was extremely poor. And he said to me, yes, but I knew my mother would be listening and my family would be listening. And I just didn't want to, I didn't want to embarrass myself. And I didn't want to say the things that, were so intimate. And I responded to that by saying, well, if that was the case, then you shouldn't have come on and been interviewed in the first place. Because the whole idea is that you share who you are and your experiences so that people listening can learn from those experiences, can identify with them, can appreciate that they are human and normal and that there are lots of people going through the same things that they are going through. It was a really watershed sort of interview for me, and after doing hundreds of interviews and interviewing thousands of people, I think I'm up to something like 2,000 guests, that stood out in my mind as truly one of the worst and the biggest disappointments of my interview career. And I don't want anyone else to have one of those because it's a big waste of time and it makes you feel really uncomfortable. So be authentic, be yourself, come from a place of love, come from a place of knowledge, come from a place of sharing, and never have a preconceived idea. One of the things we're learning today is that you need to go into experiences and meet people with an open mind, without any ideas of judgment, and you need to get rid of what we have carried with us in the past so that we can have a new reality and a new experience And I feel the same way about podcasting. So be authentic, wear your crown every day. If you imagine that it's on your head and you are the king or the queen of your podcast series, own it. Just own it. And go out there to make a friend and have a really, really fun time. Because if you're not having fun, what the hell are we doing here anyway? So if you would like to follow me or hop onto a workshop that I do or do some one-on-one coaching, just go to my website, powerofpodcasting.com.au, or email me at hello@powerofpodcasting.com.au. Subscribe. You can book a discovery call with me as well, and we can have a chat. I'd love to work and teach just about everyone how to create podcasts and be authentic. It's so much fun for me to do. And I will be talking and doing more episodes around how to create brilliant podcasts. So look out for my channel, subscribe, and come and hang out with me.